everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day so far. Can you hear me? I hope you can. Welcome to the very first live of the recipe box. We'll be doing these every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's the plan. And I'm waiting on Michelle to get set up. And we're about to get started with today's episode.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Woo, I can hear you too.
Loud and clear.
All right, I'm a little crooked. Let me fix it. I was working, so I had to jump on here at the very end. Now I'm really crooked. Let's see. Is that better?
No, it's worse.
All right, is that better?
A little bit more. There you go. That's pretty good.
Okay. Woo! Here I am. Wide open. That's me.
Michelle is going to be cooking live. I am not set up yet to do that, so she's going to be living it today. I can't even figure out how to get my pictures to upload to StreamYard. So I've been doing that all morning with no luck.
But I'm going to be making some hot buttermilk biscuits and softened chocolate, which is chocolate gravy. And I'm going to put the biscuits in the oven and get to working on the chocolate gravy. And then while she's talking about all her stuff, then we'll come back to me. Is that right, Sherry?
That's right.
All right.
Y'all have to excuse my voice. It stinks. But anyway, what I did for my dinner, which I did a full dinner. I'm not sure what all Michelle's got going on. I know she told me a few things. I made a pineapple upside down cake. In the 20s is when this, and I made it in a cast iron skillet. I'm trying to go through my notes here. The 20s was when the skillet cakes come out. There was a lot of things that come out in the 20s. Clarence Birdseye invented a way to freeze food. Baby Ruth candy bar come out. Wonder Bread. Popsicles, Hostess cakes, Kool-Aid, Velveeta cheese, the Charleston, jazz.
I can do that. I'll do that demonstration. Dun 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 dun. Woo!
Get it, girl. I was reading up on it, and it said if you were to sit down to a normal dinner in the 20s, you'd probably recognize most of the food today. They did pork chops, meatloaf, roast chicken, bread, muffins, vegetables, salad, and if you were lucky, a cake or a pie. So I went and I made a skillet pineapple upside down cake. It was the original recipe from the King Arthur flyer. So I did it. But y'all are going to have to wait till after this live. My video is going to drop at noon Central Time. So it'll have all the pictures, and I linked the recipes down there. But I also made homemade bread, and it was from a 1920 cookbook. And I love
it's
the way.
It's beautiful too, Sherry. That's some beautiful bread. I wanted to jump in the screen.
Well, thank you. I did not expect it to make 4 loaves. That's what I get for not reading ahead. So I had bread dough everywhere. But it turned out really good, and it's just plain white bread. I learned really quickly, though. It didn't do good making it into rolls because it kind of formed a crust, I guess, just being white bread. So, yeah, I wouldn't make it into rolls, but loaf bread was awesome. We've been using it for toast, and it tastes really great. Duchess potatoes, those were the potatoes that they mashed, and they put nutmeg in them, salt, pepper, heavy whipping cream, butter, and you creamed them all up until they were smooth, put them in a piping bag, and you popped them out into these little mounds, and then you put them in the oven and cooked them until they started turning golden brown. But anyway, I didn't have a big enough tip, so I put mine in a pan, which they did that too. They were really, really rich. Because I added egg yolks. It had 4 egg yolks in it. I just loved. What else did I do? Oh, I done a pork chop, and back then they breaded their pork chop. The recipe I found in a 1920s cookbook, which will be linked in my video, is they just dipped it in egg and then went from the egg straight to the fire. No milk. I'm used to doing egg, milk, fire, all that. They didn't. It was a simple 2-step deal. But I loved reading about all of this. It said that the food was plainer then. It was less spicy. So you might have found some mint or horseradish sauce on the side for extra flavor.
I have never used what's called mint jelly. I have always heard about serving lamb with mint jelly. That just wasn't done here.
I've never tried it.
But that was back in the day. And I know they do that maybe in the north or from Italian cultures or English cultures back on the British states. But I was wondering if you ever saw that in your reading up on the 1920s.
No, I didn't come across that. The cookbook, the original Boston cookbook, school cookbook, I would love to get my hands on a copy of it. It came out in 1896. It became popular in the 1920s. And their list of spices that they used was salt, pepper, cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, dried ginger, cloves, mustard, vinegar, horseradish, capers, vanilla, and some fruit extracts. So they didn't have all these fancy mixes and
that's still right much.
Yeah. But I guess you just had to make your own combinations back then. You couldn't go to the store and buy something that's already pre-mixed and it's got everything in it and just shake it on your meat and go with it. You had to get creative on your own. They said they would cook their meat. Probably it was cooked till well done back then.
You said well done?
Yes, and they said
that's the only way my mom will eat it. Me, I'm a medium kind of girl. I want it pink in the middle.
Yeah, they said the vegetables were probably overcooked by today's standards.
Well, honey, that's the way we do it in the South. You put it in a pot and you boil it to death.
Yeah, they said for sanitation reasons. Said it took longer to prepare back then. Refrigerators weren't widely available until the 1930s. They preserved their food by salting it, smoking it, pickling it, drying it, or canning it. And I've noticed that a lot that's trending now is a lot of people are going back to homesteading, and they're picking up canning, and they're picking up smoking, and they're picking up drying and all that. There's several channels that I watch that do those things.
Yeah, they're going back to that with these homestead channels and doing everything kind of being self-sufficient, doing the old-timey ways. Mm-hmm. And I've got a friend that even cans meat. She sure does. Let me rinse my hands. I'm not that good. I don't have a canner. Now, I put up some pickles this past summer. I put up pickles, but they can hot water seal, but I don't have a pressure canner because to can meat or soups or anything that's low acid, you've got to have a pressure cooker or it's going to spoil.
Oh,
Do you can?
No. I've done one recipe where I did it I made a caramel apple jam. I would love to get into doing jams and jellies though.
Okay.
But they sold, so commercial businesses sold peas and corn and beans and tomatoes in metal cans. Um, you could also arrange to have your milk and eggs and butter to be delivered straight to your house. So, can you imagine answering your door now and the milkman setting all your stuff on the porch?
Oh my.
But there was no convenience foods, so you had to spend more time growing and preparing your food. Hello, Bransky Pants. And we've got Journey Alone with Shannon in here. Grace was in here earlier.
No, you had to pretty much have everything on hand. There won't no running down to the Publix or running down to Winn-Dixie.
No. Prohibition was in effect. So if you produced alcoholic beverages, it was generally illegal. So there was no wine, no beer. The doctors could prescribe it, medicinal whiskey. So
I bet there was a lot of that going on.
bootlegging.
Oh, no, my granddaddy could tell you about that. He would tell, you know what he would do? He did that in Eastern North Carolina, and he said he had an old car, like a 1932 Packard or something like that. He had the back ends put up on springs. So when he had it fully loaded, it would sit right, and nobody would question. He said, but I had all the judges and everybody bribed anyway. I delivered to them every week, and so I didn't have nothing to worry about.
He had his route all figured out, huh?
Yep. He was a smart man. You know, he didn't do that into his older years, but it was just funny listening to him. He was an opportunist, that's for sure. He was a commercial fisherman and a farmer too, but I loved hearing stories about the old days. Kind of wild.
Yeah, and you know, the thing of it is, if we don't take time to sit down and listen to those stories, they're going to be gone.
And see, me as a young person, I was a little odd. I loved to spend time with my granddaddy over in Berkeley County more than anything else in the world. And, you know, a lot of the young folks, they just don't have time for their elders, but they really need, there's so much valuable information that they miss, you know, that they don't get. Were you close to your grandparents?
I loved my grandparents dearly. And I unfortunately don't have any grandparents left now.
I don't either.
But, you know.
And are you saying that these were her recipes that you're looking up? Is that what gave you this idea?
No, these aren't. That's what gave me the idea is I'm wanting to go through my mom's recipes, and she's got some of her mother's recipes. Hello, Roberta. Thanks for coming in. If her mom would be alive today, she would be 100 years old. And, so mom is getting her recipes together, and she's fixing to go through and get her mom's cookbooks and things together, and that's where I want to get into. But I love the old stuff, and
right. That's most of my recipes are on my channel. They're old-fashioned recipes from Eastern North Carolina. They're the way my grandmother, and my mother made them. Excuse me. I'm a college education person until I get on the live and I get busy.
My tongue gets all twisted. Back then, they had recipes in that Fannie Farmer's cookbook that became popular in the 20s that were dedicated. They said she included a lengthy chapter in that book. Hey, those look awesome, girl.
They're going in the oven.
Teleport me some.
Okay, I'm going to.
She devoted a whole chapter for recipes for the sick folk. It was gruel, which was oatmeal, water, and mushes. It said there were doctors and hospitals in the 20s, but they were super expensive. and insurance was just becoming a thing back then. But most of the time, families cared for their own sick or their own injured people. So they had to figure out how to get fluids and nutritious food into those people. So the cookbooks that were made back then that covered these subjects, they said, were aided by doctors and medical pamphlets. I guess they all kind of worked together. I don't know. It was really neat. There was so much. You could write a book on it if you put it all together. But the economy, they said, was mighty back then. Till 29 hit and the Depression hit. And I think that was when I think they called it the Great Gatsby. Hey, I am making that this weekend.
Huh?
I am making that this weekend.
Okay.
Yes. That's going to probably go down Saturday at my house.
But I love The Great Gatsby. I loved reading that book.
Yeah.
And Catherine and I went to New York and went to, I can't remember the name of the hotel, but it was built in the opulent early 1920s in that Art Deco style. And it had a gorgeous ballroom and all of the black and gold and ivory and marble. I mean, opulence. And, you know, leading up to the Great Depression, and it opened, and then the Great Depression hit. So you have all that opulence and stuff. But we sat in there in a little cafe and just saw the finials and all the fancy columns and everything. It was just a little cafe, but it was opulent, and you could just imagine what it looked like in its heyday. And I thought about The Great Gatsby.
Yeah. Hello, Tina. Welcome in. They began researching vitamins back then. I don't know. There was so much that happened.
Well, remember Mr. Kellogg developed that Kellogg cereal as a nutritional thing. You know, cereal did not taste very good to start with. I think that came out about that time too, because people...
Oh, she froze on me. We'll wait on her to come back up. I guess she's having trouble. There you are.
Hey.
Hey.
I don't know what happened.
You froze up.
I don't know. Mr. Post heard me talking about Mr. Kellogg's.
There you go. There you go.
That's what it was. It's competition.
They had foods that were considered stylish back in those days. Oysters Rockefeller.
Woo!
I've never ate an oyster in my life.
Really? We have a very famous, world famous oyster bar here called the Sunnyside Oyster Bar. And it was from the 1930s, actually. And that's when it opened, I think, 32. And it's a horseshoe, old-fashioned wooden bar. And you sit up at the bar on a bar stool. And these gentlemen will take your order, and you'll tell them you want a peck or a peck and a half of oysters, and do you want them steamed medium or firm or loose? Anyway, or you can get some raw ones, and they'll shuck the oysters for you, and you get oysters, shrimp, and you can have crackers and sauce and butter. Or they can fix you what's called a red rooster. Now, that's one hot thing in this world. I don't do red roosters, and my husband doesn't either. But some people that love hot stuff, they get those.
Wow.
But I sure have eaten a lot of oysters.
I've never tried it. The pineapple upside down cake was considered a stylish food, as well as the Duchess Potatoes were. Icebox cakes. Italian meatballs.
Yum.
The tea sandwiches came out. Of course, I mentioned, and there was pimento stuffed celery. I'm just going through some of these. The Waldorf salad.
Waldorf salad. I've heard that before.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever tried that.
I think it's an apple pecan or apple walnut salad.
Yeah. Michelle is making homemade biscuits and sopping chocolate, which is chocolate gravy. But I think we're all about to flood to your house, Michelle.
Well, I'm actually sending this home with my cousin's daughter. She came over to help me organize some things, and she's got 3 little children. And I think herself would like to have this for extra for their supper to go along with it tonight. So it's all going home to her because I'm doing low carb. Yeah. And I'm sticking to myself. I have done pretty well to start with. I started January 3rd. But, we still have to keep our heritage and our traditions alive.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we're eating better.
Definitely. Their appetizers, deviled eggs, shrimp cocktail. Cheese platters, olive platters, mixed nuts, jelly beans. I seen where jelly beans had come out.
I'll eat every one of them except the black ones. No black jelly beans.
I don't want the black ones. I can't stand that taste. And I was looking up on the Great Gatsby, and I guess people throw the Gatsby parties, and said they would serve deviled eggs, grilled oysters, creamy artichoke, smoked salmon sandwiches, classic Caesar salad, spice glazed ham, healthier fried chicken. I don't know what they considered healthier fried chicken back in those days, because that recipe I used for bread was Crisco City. I mean, it was Crisco everywhere. Strawberry lemon cream cheese cupcakes, no bake lemon mascarpone.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. So it sounds like
there was a lot of food.
Yeah. And Jell-O became a popular dessert in the 20s. I didn't know that either.
I was thinking of always Jell-O. I think of the 1950s because all those Jell-O molds and stuff.
Molds, yeah.
Yep.
And Devil's Food Cake, Angel Food Cake.
You talking about something good. Angel Food Cake is my favorite.
And anyway, there was just a lot of stuff. I thought this stuff was really interesting.
Do you still have the cake to show them what it looks like?
No, that thing disappeared. I might pull up a picture. I don't know if it would show on here. No, because the screen's going to white it out. But anyway, hopefully by next week I'll have figured out how to upload some pictures on the StreamYard. And Roberta said, yummy, y'all can send me your licorice jelly beans. I love them. You can have every last one of them. I love the Jelly Belly jelly beans, the buttered popcorn. That's my favorite. Those are good. It looks like Michelle's sopping chocolate's about done.
It is. I'm getting ready to put some butter and vanilla in it. I'm going to let it thicken just a little bit more. I'm going to look for my vanilla. I thought I had it out. I was cooking a lot, and my problem is putting things away. I don't have a problem cooking or nothing, but I am like a chicken with my head cut off, running from one thing to another, and I tend to leave. Now I'll empty out my dishwasher and I'll load the dishwasher, but I'll forget to put the ingredients away. I'll close them up, but I'll just leave them on the counter. So I've got to get better about doing that. But see, I'm doing this in the middle with my lunch break. And so I just, have to do it when I can.
I have a problem with that too. You should see my kitchen when I get done cooking.
Aw. I think I'm going to leave those biscuits in there just a second. while I look for this vanilla. I'm going to look on the other side. Y'all excuse me just a second. I know it's here. Here it goes. I just was hiding behind something. Here we go. You know I'm going to measure. I just eyeball it.
There you go.
There's supposed to be a teaspoon of vanilla. That's about all that was left in there. I hit that vanilla hard, especially making homemade banana pudding.
So has anybody got any questions?
Do you want me to tell you what's in this pot?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, we just went over all those ingredients. Well, I'm going to tell you about my folks. My folks were farmers. They had cows and chickens and pigs, and we didn't have goats or anything like that, but chicken, pigs, and cows. And my granddaddy lived beside a river so they could fish, and they would catch herring by the thousands and put them up, salt herrings, corn herrings, whatever you want to call them. And they sold those as well by the barrelful. They had employees that did that, so they had a fish house down by the river as well as farming. Back in the day, moonshine. They were just a huge business going on. And, of course, we're talking about the 30s, right? The 20s. The 20s. There you go. And we'll get to the 30s next week, right?
Yes.
Or is this going to be weekly or every 2 weeks?
I figured weekly.
Weekly. All right. Well, good. We're talking about the 30s next time. All right. So let me tell you about this, the farming thing. You had to eat what you had. So you had a lot of eggs. You had a lot of fish. You had a lot of collards because the collards keep producing over the winter months. You got your flour because my granddaddy ran a little store, a little country store. And so you would always have biscuits, eggs. They would have a hog killing in the very, very cold, dead winter because, nothing would spoil because it was so cold. And they would put up the meat, and they would either salt or sugar cure hams and hang them in the smokehouse and make sausage, and they dry that in the smokehouse. You just didn't have freezers and things like that. They'd have to can stuff. And but to have something as dessert, they would make homemade banana pudding. They would make a cake with chocolate icing and things. But on a regular weeknight, working, because they come in and the men folks would eat first. That's just the way it was. Grandma would fix biscuits. Now I'm going to get these biscuits out. And for dessert, instead of regular gravy, they had chocolate gravy. So that was the dessert. You just poured over the biscuit, and then they would eat it. Or instead of molasses, they tear off a piece of biscuit. Instead of sopping it in molasses, they sop it in the chocolate. And that's why they call it sopping chocolate.
Oh.
Have you ever had it?
Yes.
You have. Okay. Do you make it now?
I do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, my recipe is this. I use 1/4 cup of cocoa, 3 tablespoons of regular flour, 3/4 cup of sugar, and I whisk that all up. And then I add in 2 cups of whole milk. And then at the end, I add a tablespoon of butter and the teaspoon, or a teaspoon and a half, it probably was, of vanilla. Because who doesn't like extra vanilla,
For real.
So let me show you these biscuits. Let's see here. I made them a little smaller. Come here. There they go. They are hot biscuits. And probably what I would do if it were me and Randy or my family, I would split them and put some cheese in them, half of them, and we'd use half of them for the chocolate or jelly. And so that's it. And y'all saw how fast I did that. I did that just since the start. So it doesn't take long. It's quick. And I'm going to have a video of both of these things soon. I don't have them yet. I'm going to do a video of using self-rising flour instead of adding the baking powder and things like that, because I use self-rising flour for this one. I do have my very first 2 videos were biscuits. The first one was candied yam biscuit, which is akin to sweet potato biscuits, but you just use your leftover candied yams, because I had leftover candied yams, because sometimes you don't know what to do with them. You can have them for breakfast the next morning in your biscuits with some country ham. And then I've got buttermilk biscuits But it's the full-blown mix, whisk the flour and the other stuff. So I'm going to do the self-rising biscuit video because these turned out pretty good, I think.
They did. My very first video was biscuits.
Ma'am?
I said my very first video was biscuits.
Was it? And but my mother does not like a very tall biscuit, so I tend to do them like she did, a little flatter. But you can do them. I don't know if you can see all the wonderful nooks and crannies. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they are just wonderful biscuits. And I'll tell you why. It's because I use a combination of butter and butter-flavored Crisco. And, it just calls for Crisco. But I break that up, and I use half butter and half butter-flavored Crisco. It makes for a tasty biscuit.
Well.
And even though I'm on my low carb, I'm just tasting one little bit.
The cook has to taste.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I'm going to put it down. I'm going to be good. But, so anyway, I'm gonna box this on up and give it to I want to call her my niece, and she kind of is. She's about the same age as, she's 4 years older than my oldest niece, or maybe 3. But anyway, she feels like a niece. I was 20 when she was born. I posted on my Facebook page the other day, all these people you see with their own families now, remember working with their baby shower, for heaven's sakes, before they were born. I'm feeling so old. But anyway, this is an awesome thing. If you get a chance to get one, if you're having a pampered chef party or know somebody who is, this nylon whisk that you can use, silicone coated whisk, is awesome. It works in your non-stick pots and doesn't scour or anything. I highly recommend silicone whisk. And this one's flat, so it works so well with gravies.
Oh, wow. I need to get one of those.
So that's a tip if you don't know what to get from a party that you've been invited to. So what do y'all have as far as questions for me?
Anybody got any questions? All is silent.
Well, we were poor in this area as far as that goes. We didn't have Waldorf salad. We didn't have Jell-O. We had what was grown in the garden and what was oinking and mooing out in the field or swimming in the river. So, it was self-sufficiency in the 20s and nothing fancy. Now, I know they had salt and pepper and they probably had cinnamon, but all those other spices, I don't know. But in northeastern North Carolina, out in the country, we were 3 hours away from Raleigh and probably 2.5 hours away from Norfolk, Virginia. So I know my grandmother we always called her the rich aunt that lived in the city. She lived in Norfolk, Virginia. And, she'd bring things from delis and bakeries down, and my grandma's mouth would drop open. Things that weren't available out in the country.
Yeah.
But anyway, well, this is pretty much it. Biscuits and softened chocolate would be what we'd be eating. Fancy.
Yeah.
And you would be eating pineapple upside down cake.
Yes.
I'm impressed.
Pineapple upside down cake. Hey, I got brownie points for my hubby, so there you go.
I know you did. Well, I'm going to send this. I hope her children will really enjoy it. I'm going to put them in aluminum foil and tell her to heat them back up in the oven on about 400, probably for maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the most, just so they heat back up. And then, yeah. So I gift all my goodies away now.
There you go. I need to give some of mine away.
I got a long ways to go, but I'm going to get there. I've actually got something called Carb Quick. I'm going to try to make me some biscuits out of this. It's low carb biscuits.
Where did you find that?
Walmart.
Really?
They have it online and they have it locally. But they've got, those biscuits that you got at Red Lobster, the garlic cheese biscuits. They've got a recipe for that. They've got a recipe for waffles, chicken parmesan, turkey pot pie. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can make with it, and I just got it. So, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Hello, Grace. Roberta said she's going to be checking out your channel. She's not seen it before. Yes. Y'all check out Michelle's channel. She will make your mouth water for sure.
Thank you. I've got 70 videos now. I had no idea I had so many.
Yeah. I think I'm 2 away from, let me look. I just looked earlier. I don't even see it now. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing, though. I'm 24 away from 200.
Woo! You go ahead. Now, how long have you been doing this?
This May will be 2 years.
Okay. Well, see, I just came up on my first year, and honestly, it's only been about 6 months that I've been doing it. Because what happened was I lost my password to my YouTube account and couldn't get back into it until August. So I put up like 4 or 5 videos, and really, I didn't know what I was doing. God bless me. Please forgive me. Only one of them turned out to be right good, but I'm telling you, it's got one of mine's kind of runaway, that old-fashioned cooked chocolate cake with the thin chocolate. It has about 7,500 views, I think, and that's a lot for this little old girl from Eastern North Carolina. Well, I'm not little, but you know what I mean. And and then my cooked caramel icing cake, the caramel cake, is really good. My grandmother's coconut cake is doing really well. But anyway, if you see me doing those old biscuit recipes, what happened was I was recording just like this, and I forgot to put it on airplane mode. And it, oh my gosh. So I got a telephone call right in the middle, and I didn't know how to edit them and put them together. So I've got Biscuits Part 1 and Biscuits Part 2.
You would not believe the bloopers I have made. It's terrible. It's like when I was making the bread yesterday, I forgot to add the sugar to the yeast. And I was like, oh my cow. It didn't make a difference. I was like, oh no. Because I was so far into it, I didn't want to start over as far as mixing it together. But it come out good, thankfully.
Now, I'm excited to see this. Can't wait to show my mother the recipe for the pineapple upside down cake. That is one of her very, very favorites. So thank you for posting that. And I've got to get ready to call my next patient. I'm a nurse, so I've kind of done my lunch break, but I've got to prepare to call them at 1 o'clock. So I hope and pray the very best for you. And until we meet again next week.
Thanks for hosting with me. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, and you have a great
We'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel. Did you used to watch that?
Yeah. We'll see what dance you have next week. We'll find you a 1930s dance.
I won't drink as much coffee next week. Woo!
Thanks for coming in, everyone, and we appreciate it. And y'all check out Michelle's channel. She'll be dropping a video soon, too. And anyway, everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.